Okay, here we are. So my first question is, I'm finishing to write. Sorry?
No, sorry, there was just some background noise there.
Okay. I'm writing a long magazine story about how former Obama people are today running for office. So my first question is rather basic. What are your memories of November 4, 2008, the night Obama was elected president for the first time?
Well, I remember being with my family in New Jersey, back at our home in Marlton, and watching the results come back in. It was really exciting. My family was very proud, very excited that day, and I was very moved by his speech that evening, and certainly was something that helped me think that this was someone that I wanted to have the chance to work under. And I'll be honest with you, I never thought that I'd actually have the chance to work so closely with him when I saw that day. But a couple years later, I was very honored to have that opportunity.
And what are your most vivid memories of your time at the White House when you were one of his advisors? I think it was during his second term, if I'm not wrong.
That's right. I was in his second term when I worked at the National Security Council, and the most vivid memories I have, most vivid memory I have is the very first time I walked into the Oval Office. I walked into the Oval Office to brief the president about just before he was meeting with the Iraqi Prime Minister in the Oval Office. And I remember walking in. It was simultaneously my very first time walking into the Oval Office, and it was also the very first time that I saw the president in person and talked with him, as I was still pretty new on the job at that point. So it was a pretty overwhelming experience. And I remember talking to him and just looking around the Oval Office, just total disbelief that I was in there. It was a very disorienting experience, and one of just tremendous pride that this room that I have always looked up to, and to actually be in there and being with the president and conducting the business of the United States, it was a real true honor. Those experiences in the Oval Office, in the Situation Room, understanding the history that happened in those rooms, understanding the responsibility that comes with being in those situations, and trying to do my best to advise the president on the best course on national security. Those were very humbling experiences.
And do you think you would have been candidate if Donald Trump had not been elected president, if we were under President Hillary Clinton today?
I'll be honest with you. I never thought that I was going to run for Congress. I never did. I never thought that I was going to run for Congress. But for me, a lot of this was not just what happened over the last couple years, but a lot of my frustrations come directly from my opponent, my own congressman who I'm running against. He was somebody who was the lead author of the Trump healthcare repeal bill. He was the one that came up with the idea of gutting pre-existing condition protection. That was what really triggered it for me. Was realizing that I did not have a representative in Congress that was looking out for me, and that he was somebody who didn't share my values. So, I think that was the real trigger point for me for why I ran for Congress.
Yeah. So if someone said that you are running, in fact, also to defend Obama legacy, for example, on healthcare, you would agree with that?
Well, it's not that simple for me. I mean, for me, I was a career public servant, and I worked under both the Bush administration and the Obama administration. I certainly worked as an Obama official, and in his White House, but I was not a political appointee. I was not somebody that was someone that was coming at this from partisan angle. So for me, it's always been about the values that I believe in and the progress that I want to see this country make. I'm not someone who's particularly tied to any particular administration and their legacies. I think about this not as defending legacies, but more as defending the progress that I want to see this country make. So I want to see a country that moves that provides health care for its citizens. And that's something that certainly the Obama administration was pushing towards, and I feel like this administration is trying to erode. So I want to make sure I can stand up and fight for those values, for my beliefs. And look, I'm willing to work with any administration that's trying to achieve those goals, whether they're Republican or Democrat. But right now, I feel like I know where my work is cut out for me ahead.
And you were speaking of healthcare. I have the feeling that it's really maybe one of the major issues of the campaign, because many candidates talk to me about healthcare. Would you agree with that? That it's one of the 2 or 3 major issues of the midterms campaign?
Well, here in New Jersey, it is the number one issue that is on the minds of the voters. It's the number one issue of this campaign, and it is the reason why I got into this race, was to protect people's health care.
And what are the major issues for you? The other major issues?
You're asking about the other major issues?
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of the other issues relate to jobs and the economy. The tax bill that was passed by President Trump. My opponent, Congressman Tom MacArthur, he was the only member of Congress from New Jersey to vote yes on that tax bill. Something that we knew was going to hurt a lot of people in the state. And a big reason why people are so upset at him is that he's been not looking out for what's the best for the people here. I mean, we live in a time right now in America where 40% of Americans can't handle a $400 emergency. This is a real problem. Every single day here, people are struggling. So while we see the stock market rising and people are saying that our economy is strong, what we recognize is that there's still a lot of Americans that are truly struggling, and that there's inequality in this country is something that we need to grapple with. And that's what I want to focus in on. And those are the issues that this campaign has been working hard to address, and wanted to listen to those that don't feel like they have a voice in Washington that's listening to them. And a big reason why I wanted to step up and get into this campaign.
And are you hopeful that the Democrats are going to be able to do something if, for example, you take back the House but not the Senate, if you have only one of the 2 chambers of Congress? Okay, do you think that the Democrats still will be able to do things?
I hope so. I hope we'll be able to do things. I hope we're able to stop the erosion of our health care. I hope we're able to prevent some of the types of problems that I see this administration trying to push. But in addition to that, I hope we can find some real solutions. For instance, the number one issue that I hear about directly from voters is the high cost of prescription drug medication. I hear from a man in the district, an older man in the district, that he pays $1,000 every single month, for prescription drugs on top of his health care bills. So, this is a huge problem that's really crippling a lot of families here in New Jersey and across the country. It's an issue that both Republicans and Democrats have talked about and said that they prioritize, and I hope we can find some type of bipartisan agreement on how to be able to fix this. I know it's going to be tough, and I know just how divided our Congress is, but the American people are electing people to try to get solutions to the problems that they face, and they don't want to see the partisan knife fighting and the gamesmanship in Washington get in the way. So I hope that I can help usher in those types of agreements and find some real solutions here.
Yeah, that's why I was asking you that, because we have a feeling from friends that it's increasingly difficult to do bipartisan work in Washington.
No, absolutely. I mean, look, I agree. I mean, having worked in government before, I know just how hard it is. But what I'll say is that I'm hopeful. Working at the White House before on national security issues, what I always say is the last place that partisan politics belongs is in national security. When I'm in that situation room, or when I was working in Afghanistan as a civilian strategic advisor to the 4-star commander, I don't want people in those positions making decisions about our safety, our security, thinking, what's best for politics, what's best for an election. So I've seen situations where people put aside their partisanship in order to be able to find solutions. When I was working in Afghanistan, no one asked me there if I was a Democrat or Republican. We were just trying to serve the country and get things done. And so I do believe that there's an ability to have that kind of progress. I know it will be difficult, but I really truly believe that we need to now more than ever really reinvigorate and redefine what it means to be a public servant and be able to bring that public service mentality into Congress, into Washington, D.C. again.
And since you are mentioning your government work, how do you react to the accusation of your opponents about your decade in Washington, basically saying that you come back not to New Jersey after one decade in Washington, but that you were more interested in Washington?
Well, yeah, look, I find those types of accusations to be offensive. I grew up in New Jersey, and I did my entire kindergarten through 12 in the public school system in South Jersey. It's been my only home in my entire life, and my parents have lived there for most of their life. And now I'm raising my two baby boys, just a couple miles from where I grew up. And this is my home. This district that I'm running in is a district that gave me and my family every opportunity in life. And that's why I'm running for Congress there. Whereas, my opponent, he's somebody who, moved into the district 4 years ago to go running for, to go shopping for a congressional seat he could win. He never lived in this district before 4 years ago. And for him to then try to criticize me about my roots to this district, I find that to be very offensive. I think we should be encouraging our young Americans to find opportunities to serve this country in different ways, whether that's in the military or in a civilian opportunity. For me to leave my home to go serve my country as a diplomat and a civilian national security official and then return back home, those are the types of experiences that I hope more people pursue, be able to be in public service. And they should not be criticized for doing so.
And I've seen that you are a son of South Korean immigrants. Do you feel that it's still more difficult for someone who belongs to a racial minority to be running for office in the U.S.?
Well, what I'll say is that I'm running this district because, as I said, this is my home district, and certainly as a minority in the district, I understand. I understand that position there, but what I'll say is that this community has been very excited about my candidacy. They've been really excited that I'm somebody who's homegrown and from the district, and have been very much embracing my candidacy. So I'm very proud of that. And, I do recognize that there are currently 0 Korean Americans in Congress, and if elected, that would be a glass ceiling that we can break along the way. But it's important for us to have a nation that embraces its diversity, a nation that recognizes that we're stronger when we have different voices at the table, and we should have those types of voices. Whether it's different voices with religion, faith, race, gender, socioeconomic status. We want different voices at the table. And I hope to be able to bring my perspective and be a strong voice in Congress.
And finally, my last question is, I've seen that you've been endorsed in August by President Obama. Does it help to run a campaign to have such an endorsement? Does it help raising money or hiring people to help for the campaign?
You're asking in terms of his endorsement?
Yeah, right.
Well, I'm very proud that he endorsed me. I'll be honest with you. It was a great feeling. I never thought that anything I would do in my life would necessarily have the endorsement of a former president of the United States. It was exciting as someone somebody who never thought that I'd be running for Congress to have these types of experiences. It's wonderful. And, for me to have had the chance to work under President Obama, to build that kind of relationship with him, and then for him to support my candidacy, it means a tremendous amount, both personally as well as professionally. It lets people know that I'm somebody that President Obama trusts in terms of public service, that he respects what it is that I'm trying to do. But in the long run, what I'll say is that I'm most focused right now on gaining the trust and the support of the people in the New Jersey 3rd Congressional District, and that's what I'm first and foremost focused on. So I appreciate the president's endorsement, and I'm glad others have been supportive as well, like Vice President Biden and others. But right now, 25 days out from Election Day, what I'm focused on is first and foremost the voters here.
I understand that perfectly. Well, thank you very much for your time. I will let you campaign, because if I understood well, your campaign is now labeled, your race is now labeled a toss-up, so it's very, I don't know, I am looking for the word, it's a very competitive race, if I understood well.
that it is, yeah. It's considered to be one of the top toss-up races in the country right now, and very much people are recognizing that what happens on November 6th and which direction our country goes after that could very well come down to who wins this New Jersey 3rd Congressional District. So there's a lot of energy, a lot of excitement here, but there's a lot of understanding of the responsibility and the magnitude of what we're trying to get done. That really comes down to winning these races and executing as strong as we can. And as you can imagine, it's a big fight. But we've mobilized. We have a lot of people here. We have 1,500 people as volunteers, knocking on doors, making phone calls. It's one of the biggest operations in the nation right now, and I'm really proud of it.
Well, let me wish you a good end to your campaign and a good luck. And I will send the article to your campaign until it will be published. It will be the last week of October, just before the election. But I will send the PDF of the article to your campaign.
Wonderful. Thank you. If you need anything else, you let us know.
Sure. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.
You too.
Bye-bye.